So I'd been hearing about Samantha Irby's book Meaty for quite a while. I'd seen it recommended by my library. I'd seen it on Goodreads quite a few times, and I was intrigued to read it. So I was originally going to actually read these, but then I found out that my library has the audiobooks and they're actually narrated by Samantha Irby. So I decided to listen to Meaty. Wow, no thank you. We are never meeting in real life. And Quietly Hostile. And of course, I'm going to let you all know what I think of them as I finish them. So, welcome along for another journey with me in the book cave. I finished Meaty, which is, I believe, the first essay collection by Samantha Irby. And this is the updated edition, and it has some recipes from Samantha Irby that are pretty humorous with some of the steps, such as they require eggs. And she says, make sure you have eggs first, because if you're like me, you'll start this and then need eggs and there won't be any. Trust me, make sure you have eggs. And that's sort of the humor throughout all of it. This is split into 3 parts. The first part is about her childhood with her mother, and that part was pretty sad at times, to be honest, because her mother has multiple sclerosis and passed away when Samantha was in high school. And before this, she had become unable to take care of Samantha. And so this kind of chronicles, Samantha was trying to take care of her while not letting anybody know how bad her mom had gotten because she knew she'd be taken away. And so that part, it was pretty heartbreaking when she finally, she wound up got taken away and saw her mom go into a nursing home and everything. Then the second part is her as a young adult up into her 20s. I'd say probably about mid-20s. This is the more humorous part, and it deals a lot with relationships, and then it also deals a lot with her Crohn's disease, which she was diagnosed with that when she was 25. And so there's a lot of essays about, how depending on what she eats is how good of a day she can have, and how, one day she could eat this particular meal and the next day eat the exact same thing and have a bad reaction, and just kind of, how this can take over your life. And I did find that part pretty humorous for the most part. She kind of just tells it like it is. This is what I have, this is what it does. And she pulls no punches. And then in part 3, that deals more with the failed relationships she has had from, 25 into her 30s. And that part, while there were still some dark humor parts, I feel like a lot more of it was anger at how she had been treated. And I could definitely, feel that. And one thing I would like to say is this audiobook was narrated by Samantha Irby herself, and I feel like she has a really good cadence for, getting through the different essays. Some of them she'll read a little faster, some of them a little slower. She changes her tone to kind of fit. And I did enjoy that. And then the lists there was two lists. One was different, like, birthmarks and whatnot, things that she doesn't like about her body. And then the other ones was things I need, like I either need to do, need to buy, need to acquire, like money, a better car, things that I want to do, such as take a vacation, go on a cruise, and then things that I will eventually do, which were kind of like bigger dreams. But I did find that list pretty humorous, and especially the rapid fire way she read it just kind of added to that. And I did originally plan that I was going to read her other books. My library had this one available on audio, and then her next book, Wow, No Thank You, they had the actual book available. So I was going to read that. But after listening to this, I decided instead to listen to all her collections. So, as it stands now, Wow, No Thank You, the audiobook will come in first. Then We Are Never Meeting in Real Life. And then finally, her newest one will come in. And I've completely forgot what that one is called, but I am sure I will get to that this month. And I really love the covers of these books. They're quite simple, but they're very striking. And, of course, I love hedgehogs. I've said this before. So I've been seeing Meaty in particular on my library's Libby/Overdrive app for a while, and it's always been, not available, and been like 10 weeks, and I just didn't feel like putting it on hold and waiting when I had planned to listen to other audiobooks. And then, like I said, this time when it popped up, it just happened to be ready. So right now I've kind of made the plans to just listen to my library audiobooks that I have on hold until I'm done them, and then go on to the ones that I own. So I will keep you all updated on my audiobook journey with these, and I will let you know what I think of the next Samantha Irby book that I read. Well, No Thank You is Samantha Irby's third collection, and this one definitely has a little more of a mature tone. It deals with it more as, like somebody who is a little bit older would, whereas I felt like the first one, it was still kind of, early 20s, maybe mid 20s, maybe sort of like in denial. This one didn't have quite the deepness that the first part of Meaty had. I did still enjoy it. I did like the ones that were basically the lists, and especially the one like a guide. Is like a guide to home ownership or something, and it was just kind of like a list of questions like, do I have to do something with the heat thing when I'm not using it? That this step can just creak forever, right? And little things like that are more stuff that only a little like older people would get. People are in a different spot in their life than what the first book would hit. And again, it was pretty funny. I didn't get as much of the anger coming through in this book, although there was definitely still a little bit towards different things. it wasn't as out and out as in the first book. So I definitely do enjoy Samantha Irby, and I definitely enjoy her narration because, again, she just kind of hits her stride when talking, and especially in the lists when they're all like, "Did you know?" And she kind of emphasizes it differently, and just the way, like, she'll say that, and then actually the way she says what comes after, it's kind of, more funny. And yeah, so I really do recommend, if you want to check out Samantha Irby, that you get an audiobook of it and at least try that, even if you're not big on audiobooks. I do think this is definitely worth it. Samantha Irby's newest book of essays is Quietly Hostile, and this kind of follows the formula of her other books in that each one deals with a little more mature topics, such as this one deals with, the COVID pandemic and health issues. And this is like different health issues than her Crohn's that had been dealt with in the other books, although there is still some of that. And it deals a lot with marriage and dealing with children as well. And it still has a lot of her kind of irreverent wit and such. And I do enjoy her books. I find them pretty funny. Some of the stuff is a little on the immature side, like trying to gross you out, immature sort of thing. And those parts were just okay. Part of it, parts of them could be funny, but then I feel like it kind of went way too far to the other end and just became like not funny at all. And again, I do appreciate that she narrates her own books, as she definitely has a flair for, what to emphasize and what not, and just the different, like, tones she uses adds, I feel, a lot to this. Same as with her other books. I do feel like there's not much that's super new here. It's all kind of the same types of jokes, just with slightly different setups, basically. But if you do like Sam Irby, you'll definitely enjoy any and all of her books. So I finished listening to Samantha Irby's collection, We Are Never Meeting in Real Life, and I feel like this is somewhere between Meaty and Quietly Hostile. Meaty was kind of just throughout her whole life, and Quietly Hostile was more towards the adult end of, like, getting married and navigating that and having stepchildren and all that sort of stuff. This one was kind of, it dealt with her childhood, and then it also dealt with finally scattering her dad's ashes, and it went a lot into, like, her mom and her mom's, like, deterioration, and that part was really, really sad, as was the part where, like, her dad came back, and yeah. So it was very emotional at times, and then she did have a lot of the humor to, like, offset it. And I feel like this is, another good collection. I really do like Sam Irby. I feel like her writing is very heartfelt and, speaks to a lot of people. And she's not afraid to talk about, having a chronic disease, where she deals with Crohn's. And yeah, I just feel like she's a very good writer for this. There were parts that were maybe a little, okay, this is too much. Mostly in her relationships with men. I feel like she kind of went into a little too much detail. But that's just like a personal preference for me. And I'm sure if she comes out with more, I will be listening to them. I do feel like her books are definitely worth listening to, because as I've said in all the others, she has like spot on timing in the way she speaks, and she gets into like a really good flow and has like a lot of emotion in her voice. And I just really enjoyed listening to these as they were narrated by her. So that's all I have for now. Thank you all for joining me. And as always, if you want to see more bookish content from me, click the subscribe button. And if you like this video, go ahead and click like as well.